Winning Blueprint presents.
It's the Redskins Report, so it's everything Redskins and anything of the sort.
The 2012 Washington Redskins, your NFC East champions. The Redskins Report.
I'm back, Redskins Nation. This is the Redskins Report. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. I want to quickly talk to you about the last 2 days of free agency. Normally, no news is good news, but in this case, no news is no news for the Redskins. And so, really didn't have much to say in day 2 of free agency, so I didn't. But I'm back in day 3. We made a move, and there's some things that we haven't done, so I wanted to touch on everything. First, I want to start with a bittersweet goodbye. Lorenzo Alexander, gone. He's in Arizona. And how it all happened, now that the story is starting to be released, it's kind of disappointing the way it unfolded. And this is how it happened. Lorenzo Alexander was set to re-sign with the Redskins. He had went home. The Redskins had told him, hey, we're going to give you a deal that looks like right around 3 years, $7.6 million with a $2.6 million bonus, basically up front. And so, yeah, Lorenzo was like, okay, you know what? I could go for that. And he wakes up the next morning. He gets a call from the Redskins, and they're like, hey, what's that number we gave you again? He's like, yeah, 3 years, 7.6, 2.6 up front. Okay, about that 2.6 up front, how about we change that to 1.4 up front? He's like, wait a minute. We already discussed this. What are you guys talking about? Yeah, we might have made a mistake there. And so that $1.2 million, that's a big chunk of change for someone that, doesn't make a lot of money, who doesn't break the bank, so to speak. And so I want all of my money is basically what Lorenzo Alexander was saying. And so he kind of was hurt by the fact that the Redskins would go back and kind of renege on something that they had already agreed to in principle. And so he said, all right, well, I mean, if it has to be that way, I understand the business side of things. But I feel like for everything I've done for this franchise, everything I've been for the Redskins, everything I've done for the Redskins, I deserve an amount of respect that is shown monetarily. And you guys are right now disrespecting me. I feel like it's a slap in the face. And so he said, well, look, I'm going to take this trip to Zona, see what they're talking about. I'll be back. And so he goes to Arizona. And he said all along throughout the process, they wanted him. They always were in contact with him. They wanted him to come out to Arizona. He finally did. And they extended a 3-year, $9 million deal. And so, I mean, that's more than the Redskins were offering. They were offering more upfront than the Redskins were. And so he couldn't turn it down. This is a big move for him and his family. And I wish him nothing but the best. It was sad to see him go again. If this cap penalty did not come down and was not levied on the Redskins, this isn't even a discussion. He's back in the fold. The Redskins aren't a franchise that lowballs players, especially guys like Lorenzo Alexander. We usually take care of guys like him with this new regime. I can't speak for the last one, but for Shanahan and Allen and those guys, they normally take care of guys like Lorenzo Alexander. And so it's a shame to see him go. He was a core Redskin, but you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what's best for your family. You got to do what's best for you. And that was what was best for Lorenzo Alexander, to go to Arizona. And so, good for him. I am not mad at him whatsoever. I'm a Lorenzo Alexander one-man gang fan, and the best of luck to him. So now let's talk matters of Redskins football. And I had a talk with Rich Tandler last night, and I'm going to be frank. I think I rubbed him the wrong way, he's the Redskin insider. He writes for CSNWashington.com. And I talk to him sometimes periodically on Twitter. And I had a little conversation with him. And I think I rubbed him the wrong way. I kind of perturbed him. It was late. And so he's an older guy. Probably got an early bedtime. It was right around 9 o'clock. Wasn't that late. I'm a late night guy. I'm a night owl. So wasn't that late to me. But for him, it might have been past his bedtime. So he was perturbed. And look, I asked him some questions that he had already answered previously on one of his blogs. And so guess he was annoyed with the fact that I was asking him questions that had I just took a trip to the site, I would have seen. Well, I missed that story. I didn't see it. And so he had posted this story on March the 6th. What is it? Like March the 14th now. And so, I didn't see it. I missed it. So I asked him a question. He was like, look, I already answered that. And he basically got offline. And so I did ask him one question. I think this kind of pissed him off first. And then when I asked him the later question, he just said, forget it. But I asked him about Tyler Polumbus. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like Tyler Polumbus played solid football. And I'm not saying that he's a starting caliber right tackle in this league. I'm not arguing that the Redskins need to re-sign him. He's a top priority. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I love continuity. I love when you get guys and you keep them together for an extended period of time. And I think that was one of the reasons why the Redskins' offensive line was so good in 2012. We really didn't have a slew of injuries. We really had our line intact for the majority of the season. And so I think that's why we were able to play so well. And he got better as the year went on. And yeah, I know that the Redskins never really saw him as a starter. He was thrust into action when Jamal Brown went down before the season started. I get all of that, which is what Rich Tandler was saying to me. But my question to you, or Rich Tandler, was, do you see these moves that the Redskins have made in the offseason as upgrades at the right tackle position? They went out and got Jeremy Trueblood from Tampa Bay yesterday. They went out and got Tony Pashos in the first day of free agency. And so Tony Pashos, 32 years old now, did not play football in 2012. Last played in 2011. Dealt with a foot injury that he needed surgery on, and so he sat out all of 2012 season. Jeremy Trueblood, not a good right tackle. I'm not going to even go into specifics. He's not a good right tackle. And so when I asked Rich Tandler about him, he got all perturbed and he got all bent out of shape. Like, look, if we're having a conversation about Tyler Polumbus, then we're not having a conversation. And I'm like, I don't understand what the big deal is. I asked you a simple question. Do you see these moves as an upgrade? And so he basically said, Pashos, he doesn't know. Trueblood, he does. And if you think Jeremy Trueblood is an upgrade, I think you're mistaken, because I don't really think Jeremy Trueblood is a good right tackle in this league. I actually think that he's a pretty bad one. And so I don't really know what the Redskins are doing. My whole thing was, if you're going to make lateral moves, why not just bring back Tyler Polumbus? That's all I was saying was, if you're going to get guys that are in the same caliber as Tyler Polumbus, why not just bring Tyler Polumbus back? Why go get guys like him when you can have the real thing? He was here last year. He did a solid bang-up job. Not saying he was a world beater. Yeah, he struggled in pass protection at times. He was solid in the run game. Why not just have him back? And let's just hope, for our sake, that a guy like Tom Compton can play. And that's the bottom line for me now, is these other guys that we just went out and got need to be depth. And let's hope that a guy like Tom Compton steps up in the offseason, in training camp, in mini camps, in the preseason, and shows that he can start, and they give him the starting nod, and we don't have to have this discussion again. Because I'm tired of talking about the right tackle position. I'm done with it. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready for a guy to come and assume that position and take it over and not have us have to worry about it anymore. So that's the last time you'll hear me chirping about the right tackle position for a while. I'll let that rest. Now I'm ready to move on to the cornerback and safety positions, because the Redskins really need to address those two positions if they want to do anything in the 2013 season. We don't get some corners that can play. We don't get some safeties that are formidable. We're going to be in trouble in the 2013 season. That's it. There's nothing else to talk about. I mean, you saw the struggles of the Redskins early on in the season when we were giving up 400 yards passing to every quarterback that plays in the National Football League. We were getting shredded. We were losing football games because we couldn't stop the pass. And it's going to be the same thing, if not worse, if we don't get some guys in that can help. We don't have any money, and the Redskins are going to have to restructure. Speaking of restructure, they restructured the deal of one Brandon Merriweather, which saved us another, I don't know, $1.6 million or something like that. Again, Redskins just barely under the cap at this point, right around $600,000. So they don't have anything to really play with. And so they're going to have to restructure some more deals, whether it's Trent Williams, Pierre Garçon, Bowen, Cofield, or one of these guys. Somebody's going to have to step up. And the Redskins, and look, when you restructure your deal, a lot of times, it's not like they're taking money out of your pocket. There's a difference between restructuring and a pay cut. A pay cut means we're reducing your salary. Yeah, you're not getting as much money as you once were. Restructuring just means your money is being allocated to you differently. So instead of the money being spread out over increments throughout the course of the season, you might just get your money in the form of a bonus in one lump sum. So instead of you having a base salary of, let's say, $3.6 million, you might have a base salary of $1.4 million against the cap now, and they might just give you the other $2.2 million in your hand at the beginning of the season. Here you go, take it. And so it comes off the books as dead money. So I don't know. If you're the Redskins, you got to start doing some things. And you don't want to miss out on some of these deals that are out here. And we're starting to get to the meat and potatoes of free agency now, where you can start getting guys on the cheap. You don't want to miss out on the guys that are out there at safety, at the cornerback position. There are still a lot of free agents out there available if you're the Redskins. And look, if you got to sign some guys up to some one-year deals, do that. I mean, we're not asking you to go out and find a fix right now. I mean, next year is a new year. We'll have money back in our pockets. We can do some things. $18 million of our money will be unaccounted for. And so we'll have money to play with next season. We'll go into next year with $18 million right there in our hands to start out free agency. And so we'll be very healthy in terms of cap situation and cap-wise. So next year is a new year. We'll be able to do some things that we couldn't do last year that we can't do this year. So all I'm asking is that you find a way to make some of this money appear so we can go out and field a team that can get us back to the postseason in 2013. I'm not looking beyond 2013. And what we do in 2014 and beyond is great. But I'm talking about this year. I just want guys on the roster that can get it done this season. And so in order for that to happen, you're going to have to restructure some deals. And the longer you wait, the less likely it is we're going to get quality players out on the market. Because just like you know, the rest of the teams around the league know, this is the bargain basement portion of free agency. The end of this week, into next week, and the week after that is when teams start looking to get guys who thought they were going to command more in the market, realize that the money is starting to dry up, and then they'll sign deals that they wouldn't otherwise have signed unless they knew they weren't going to get more money. And so you got to step in there, get a guy on the cheap, get a guy that's looking to prove himself because he wants more money, and he's willing to sign a one-year deal to prove it so that he can get paid next year in free agency. Do it. Do whatever you need to do to make this thing work. But we need safeties. We need corners. We need them now. And so you got to figure out what you're going to do. And that's essentially it. That's where we are as a franchise, Redskins Nation. We're a team right now that, look, we're not in dire straits. Most of our starters, most of our roster from a year ago is still intact. But we got two glaring needs on this team that need to be addressed. And I don't think you're going to be able to address them in the draft because you don't get starters out of the draft usually right away. You know, you don't get second and third and fourth round picks to just come into camp and impress and start right away. They're second, third, and fourth and fifth round picks for a reason. They have deficiencies and holes in their game that allow them to not start in the National Football League right away. And so if you're looking for a safety to come in, maybe that second round pick is a starting safety. Maybe. You might get lucky because this is a very deep safety pool in the draft. But you won't get a starting caliber corner in the second round. I assure you of that. And so you got to get that in free agency. If nothing else, we got to attack the corner market in free agency. If we let the safety market pass us by, I'm fine with that if we can get a quality safety with pick 51. But you can't go into the draft thinking you're getting a corner that's going to be able to start for you. So we got to figure out some things. But you're not going to get a starting caliber corner at pick 51 in the draft. You're just not going to do it. And so we're going to have to either look on our roster at guys that might be able to help us, like Richard Crawford. Maybe Chase Minifield can come back and do something. Who knows? I don't trust a guy coming off of serious knee surgery. I don't know if it's microfracture or whatever the case may be. I don't trust a guy coming back after that. And so we need to address our cornerback situation. That's, to me, the most pressing need in free agency. Getting a corner. Getting two corners. Safety, I'm willing to let that one bypass us because the safety class is so deep in the draft that we'll throw some guys in the mix and we'll see what happens. If we got to go with Reed Dowdy again and somebody else, so be it, whatever. But I'm okay with having a patchwork safety position. We've done it for the last 2 seasons now, so it is what it is at this point. I'm ready to get something out there at the cornerback position, though. You can hide bad safety play for a little while. If we get pressure on the quarterback, we got solid corner play, you can hide some bad safeties for a while. Look, they'll get exposed, trust me. Teams find bad safeties, and you have to be careful of what coverages you play when you don't have good safety play, but you can hide bad safeties for a little while. You can mask that. You can't hide bad corner play. And if you're not getting pressure on the quarterback, you can't hide either one, corner or safety. And we have deficiencies in both. So Redskins have to get busy, have to start restructuring deals, have to find a way to make this thing work so that we can at least attack one of these needs in free agency, preferably corner. And that's going to do it here in the Redskins Report. I'm a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. My Redskins spirit will never fold. Till we meet again, Redskins fans, hail to the Redskins. Have a good one.
The Redskins Report.